Is aggression wrong? What is voluntarism? Greetings, mortals, and capital day to you all. I'm your host Simon. Welcome back to the library of Gnosis. Voluntarism is a concept based on the free association of people. It is a philosophy which holds that all forms of human association should be voluntary. No one can be forced to pay for something they don't want to. No one should be forced to put on a uniform to go die in a trench. The individual should be free to decide for himself what he wants to do, following a simple principle of non-aggression, meaning you cannot initiate theft, murder, assault, or rape. If you stand by this universal principle, it means that you can never initiate force, and force can only be used in self-defense. There is never an excuse to escalate things from a peaceful state to a violent one. The escalation of force can only be used in self-defense. This is the basis for the non-aggression principle. The initiation of force is immoral. You may never initiate force against another individual. Force may only be applied in the use of self-defense. You may never assault against another, but you are within your rights to defend yourself from said assault. The non-aggression principle is an ethical stance which asserts that aggression is inherently illegitimate. Each separate individual is always better off in a society operating on universal claims that is based on voluntary interactions. This is the basic principle of voluntarism. Everything that is voluntary is a win-win situation. Stealing is an example of a non-voluntary interaction, since if you wanted to have your things stolen, we would not call it theft. This is an example of a win-lose interaction. The thief is better off by this, but you're not. He wins, and you lose. No progress was made, since this was not a trade, but a simple redistribution of wealth. For example, if I wish to sell you a car for $10,000, if you decide to buy the car at this price, this will be what is known as a voluntary interaction. If you feel this a bit too much to pay for the car, but in the end you buy it anyways, this is still a win since it is voluntary. So who is better off by this deal? Me, the one selling the car, or you, the one buying the car? Some people would be quick to jump to the conclusion that the one selling the car is the only one better off with this deal, but this is a false conclusion. I value the $10,000 that you are offering me more than I value the car. Therefore, I am willing to trade my car for your $10,000, because I conclude that I am better off with the money than with my car. Otherwise, I would not have sold you the car. But likewise, the person buying the car is also better off with this trade. You, the one buying the car, because you value the car more than you value the $10,000. Otherwise, you would not have bought it. This is a win-win situation. Same goes for all voluntary interactions. But let us take an example that a lot of people consider unfair. Let's say that you're applying for a loan. You're going to use this loan to buy a car to travel back and forth from work. You search around town looking for the bank with the lowest interest rate. You look all around town, but you still feel like the bank with the lowest interest rate is still too high. You don't feel like you have an option. You need this car to get to work to make a living. So you decide to take the loan. This is a cost to benefit calculation. But if in the end you came to the conclusion that receiving the money now so you can buy a car is more beneficial than not taking the loan and then not having a job, this is an example of a win-win, even if it doesn't feel like it. Remember, you could have declined the offer at any time, but you came to the conclusion that this was of greater benefit to you than it was a loss. Since no coercion was involved, this could only have been a win-win exchange. Trade equals win. Prior to capitalism, the way people amassed great wealth was by looting, plundering, and enslaving their fellow man. Capitalism made it possible to become wealthy by serving your fellow man. Walter E. Williams. Taxation is one example of a non-consensual trade, if it can even be called a trade, since the interaction initiates force. It is a win-lose situation by definition, as it is not voluntary. What separates rape from sex? Well, consent, of course. Government has ideas so good they have to be mandatory. Well, I think that good ideas don't require force. If taxation without consent is not robbery, then any band of robbers have only to declare themselves a government, and all their robberies are legalized. Lysander Spooner. So, what do you think? Is aggression right or wrong? Do you believe all interaction should be voluntary? Are you a voluntarist? Leave it down in the comment section below. Until next time, stay safe, comrades. Thank you for listening. See you next time, mortal. Remember to hit that bell button to stay notified. Subscribe for more Red Pill content. Do give it a like if you enjoyed it, and feel free to share it. If you want to support my work, you can find me on Patreon at Library of Gnosis. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, and Bitchute at Library of Gnosis. The audio versions of my broadcasts are available on Spotify as a podcast at Library of Gnosis. Music is produced by Coda.